Happy snowy morning, everybody. So I wanted to give you a little insight about why we sometimes use a flat back and sometimes a neutral spine. There is reason. Part of it's novelty, because novelty helps our attention. And part of it is being able to use the body in different ways, having some skill. But there's more than that. Pilates taught originally, Joseph Pilates taught originally with a flat back, and he referred to this thing called the powerhouse, which was all these deep core muscles. And so the position that he would bring people in before, as a setup for the exercise would be this, a pelvic tuck. So that's classical Pilates. I was trained by Chris Becker, who actually she was trained in classical Pilates with Romana, who was Joseph Pilates' chief disciple, I guess, the holder of the tradition. But Chris also worked with people like John Claude West, who innovated and worked with the neutral spine. So why? Well, one compelling reason to me is this is the way that our spine is designed. We do have a lumbar curve, and it seems useful to me that we be strong in our neutral position. In other words, we don't need to strengthen here, and I don't need to collapse my chest, but we don't only want to be strong here with the lumbar flattened, but we want to be strong with the lumbar in its natural curve. So that's why basically I'm working with a neutral spine. However, there are some conditions that would suggest to use a flat back. For example, if you have a stenosis, probably a flat back will help you. If you have a spondylolisthesis or a spondylolisthesis, you definitely should use a flat back as it's protective. How would you know if you have those things? You would have to have imaging and a doctor tell you. If you have numbness in your toes, it could be an indication of that. So working with a flat back might help you. However, I sometimes get numbness in my toes, and I get it when I'm sitting too long and my lumbar is in that flat back position. So to get rid of my numb toes, I have to accentuate the lumbar curve. There's no general rules, except it is a good general rule if you have the spondylo to use a flat back. So anyway, we will explore some flat back and neutral spine positions. And I think next week we will work with the abdominal star, because the other thing about flat back is it's possible or even easy to just use your more superficial muscles to flatten the back instead of using the deep transversus muscles. You can use the transversus in any position, any position, and we want to. But when you flatten the back, you are accentuating these superficial muscles, the rectus abdominis and the obliques. So it would be possible to get really strong superficially and not so deeply strong, which is where we want to be strong, whether you're working flat back or neutral. And one more note, if you're ever having a day when your lower back just is hurting a little bit or feels vulnerable, flatten it down, and that will help. It's protective. Okay, so let's come down into constructive rest pose. And you'll notice when you lie on your back with your knees bent and do nothing, that you have whatever lumbar curve you have. And when you relax into this position and allow the muscles around the pelvis and the low belly to soften and release, what I refer to as the neutral pelvis, neutral spine, is going to show itself. Take a couple relaxed breaths here, releasing all unnecessary tension. And we're going to work both with a neutral and a flat back so you can feel the difference throughout the lesson. And if you know that you have stenosis, you might try using it more generally. If you know you have a spondylo, please use it all the time. We're beginning in neutral, bringing the attention to the pelvic floor. Take an inhale. And with the exhale, gather the pelvic floor in. Notice that this doesn't change the position of the pelvis. And then relax that. Now we're going to come to the transversus, the belt. This is a big series of horizontal fibers wrapping around the waist like a broad belt. Inhale. And as you exhale, think of that belt snugging around the low torso. And then relax that. So both of those things can be done with your spine and your pelvis neutral. Now we're going to use them and then apply the flat back. So inhale, prepare for the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, gather the pelvic floor in. And now with the pelvic floor engaged, draw your pubic bone to your belly button. Try not to push off your feet and tilt the pelvis. You'll notice your lower back getting flat. And then relax that back out. Take a breath where you do nothing and give into gravity. And picture your belt again. And with the exhale, snug the belt around neutral first. And then with the belt snug, again, picture the pubic bone moving towards the belly button. Try not to push off the feet. Pull the pubic bone to the belly button. Keep your belt snug around your hips and feel the flattening of the lower back. And then release. Now we're going to start with the back flat and engage those two things again. But first, this time we're drawing pubic bone to belly button. Again, without pressing into the feet. Feel your pelvis tilt. Keep it tilted. Inhale, prepare for the pelvic floor engagement, and then gather the pelvic floor in. And then release. Relax back to neutral. So you observe for yourself. When you have the pelvis tilted, it may be a little bit more difficult to find the pelvic floor, but you have to observe your own experience. And then we're going to tilt the pelvis again. Feel the back flatten, and picture the belt, and pull the belt around. And then relax. To me, it's easier to get the deep core muscles in place first, but please notice your own experience there. So bring the arms down to the sides. We're going to do an arm lift in neutral and then in a flat back. Inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, engage the pelvic floor. Pull the belt snug around the hips and reach back. Maintain your neutral spine, but don't flatten your back this time. Inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. And then exhale, lower the arms down. As you relax the belly, there's no movement of the spine and pelvis because you had stabilized it. Now we're going to inhale, bring the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, engage the pelvic floor and the belt, and then tilt the pelvis as you reach your arms back towards the wall behind you. Keep the back flat. Inhale, arms float up towards the ceiling. And then as you relax your arms down, release the tilt of the pelvis and float back into neutral. And again, we'll do the arm lift in neutral. Inhale, arms up towards the ceiling. Stabilize in neutral and reach back, keeping your lower back still, your pelvis still. Inhale, arms float to the ceiling. And as you relax the abdominals, our hands come down to your sides. Pelvis and lower back should remain stable. Inhale, arms float up. Now we're going to flatten. First engage the inner core, then tilt the pelvis, flatten the back as you reach your arms back towards the wall behind you. And float the arms to the ceiling, keeping the back flat. And then relax your arms down to your sides, releasing the flat back, letting everything go. One more of each of those. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, stabilize in neutral. Inhale, arms float up. And exhale, relax, arms down. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, inner core first. Tilt the pelvis, reach back. Keep your lower back flattened as your arms go back. Inhale, arms float up. Your lower back is still flat. And then release and relax as your arms come down, releasing to the neutral pelvis. Take a moment, let everything soften. I'm going to bring the hands behind the head. Inhale, feel your ribs flare. Let's warm up the obliques. Exhale, imprint the back ribs, imprint the back ribs, unflare the front ribs. And inhale, relax. We're in a neutral spine as we do this. Again, exhale, imprint and unflare. Keep your neutral spine. Just work on the obliques separately from the rectus. Inhale, relax. Ribs flare one more time. Exhale, back ribs imprint, front ribs unflare. And then relax. Engage your inner core. Let your ribs knit and imprint. Keep a neutral spine and lift your head up. We're going to keep the head lifted, the spine neutral, and lift the right foot up and lower down. Keep the pelvis steady, left foot up and lower down, and then lower the head and relax into neutral. Let everything relax. Same exercise, but we're going to flatten the back. Engage the inner core first. Knit the ribs and imprint them and tilt the pelvis and lift your head. Then keep your lower back flat and lift the right foot up and lower it back down. Keep the back flat, lift the left foot up and lower it back down. Keep the back flat and lower your head and then relax into neutral. We'll do the same thing in neutral again. Inner core first, ribs knit and imprint, and keep the spine neutral as you lift the head, and then raise the right foot and lower. Keep anchoring and lift the left foot and lower and bring the head down. Relax. And we're going to use the flat back. Inner core first, ribs knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis and then lift the head. Keep the back flat as you lift the right foot and bring it down, and the left foot and bring it down, and then relax the head down and release back into neutral. All right, take a moment. We're going to do the same exercise but add an extension of the leg. First in neutral, then in flat. Inner core, ribs knit and imprint, and keep your neutral spine as you lift your head up. Keep the pelvis stable, lift the right foot, continue to stabilize, imprint your back ribs and extend your right leg out. And bend your knee, keep your back ribs imprinting, your lower spine neutral as you lower the right foot. Lift the left, extend the leg out, 45-degree angle, flex your foot back, bend the knee and lower, and then lower the head, relax into neutral. Let everything relax for a moment. We're going to go back to the flat back and do the same exercise. Inhale, prepare for the inner core first. And then ribs knit and imprint. Flatten the back. Lift the head. Keep your back flat as you raise the right foot. Extend the leg out. You're still flattening. Keep imprinting the back ribs. Bend the knee. You're still flattening. Lower your foot. Still flat back. Lower your head. Keep the back flat. And release. Set it up again for the other side. Inner core first, ribs knit and imprint. Tilt the pelvis, lift the head. And bring the left foot up with a flat back. Extend out long. Keep the back flat, bend. And keep flattening as you lower. And bring your head down, flat back. And relax completely. Okay, we're going to do that same thing with a flat back without stopping between the legs. Inhale, prepare. Exhale for the inner core. Ribs knit and imprint. Tilt the pelvis and lift the head. flat back as the right foot comes up and stretch out long. Keep the back flat, bend the knee and lower the foot. Keep the back flat, lift the left. Reach out through the heel, back is still flat, bend the knee. Keep flattening the back, lower the foot. Keep the back flat till the head is down, and then relax completely. We're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Soften the shoulders. And do a quick run through the neck series just to bring the attention a little away from the core for a moment. Soft shoulders, lengthen the back of the neck. Gently press the back of the head down into the floor. Make sure that your arms are really deep in the sockets, and then keeping the length at the back of the neck, unweight the head and lower back down. We want to feel this more in the neck than in the abdominals. Gentle press and unweight and lower, gently press and unweight and gently press. Relax completely. And turn your head to the left, looking out over your left shoulder. Gently press the left ear down towards the mat and unweight the head. Right ear up towards the ceiling. Lower and gently press. And unweight. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And lower and press. And unweight. And lower, press. And then relax your head into the center. Soften your shoulders. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Turn, look out over the right shoulder. And gently press the right ear down. And keep the arms relaxed as you unweight the head. And lower and press. And unweight the head. And lower and press. And unweight the head and finish with your press. And then relax into the center. Neck and shoulders easy. Check in that your arms are still deep down in the socket. Lateral bend, keep your nose pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Back of the head, center of the back of the head on the mat as you bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Relax the shoulders, gently press the back of the head into the mat. And then unweight, lift the nose straight up to the ceiling. And gently press. And unweight. And gently press. And unweight, and then press. Relax, come to the center, soften your neck and shoulders. And side bend to the right, keeping the back of the head on the mat, nose pointing straight to the ceiling. Gently press, and unweight. And gently press, and unweight. Keep the shoulders easy, gently press, and unweight. And finish with a press. Unweight, come into the center. Relax your shoulders. Tilt the head back so the chin is jutting straight up towards the ceiling. Gently press. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Lift the head just a tiny bit up. And lower and press. And unweight, chin straight to the ceiling. And lower, gently press. Once again. And lower and gently press. And then relax, head back into the neutral position. Relax the neck and make some small circles with your arms. And reverse. Then we're going to keep the arms up, relax the shoulders. Return to the awareness of the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Tilt the pelvis to a flat back position. Keep your back flat and lift your right foot up. Relax your shoulders. Keep your back flat and lift your left foot. Now you're going to keep your flat back and do the pistons. With the back flat, lower the right foot down and lift it back up. If your back starts to come away from the mat, don't go all the way down, just part way down. Lower back is flat, pressing down to the mat. Drop the right toes down, lift back up, and keep your flat back as you lower the left. Keep the shoulders easy. Again, flat back, right foot down, and up, and flat back. Left foot down, keep the back flat. And one hand on each knee. Relax your abdominals. Relax the legs wide apart from each other. Soften in your hips. And then start to do the hip circles. Rolling your thigh bones around the hip. Go ahead and let your pelvis rock. So you're going to do a little massage in your lower back. Relax the front of the thighs. Relax the inner thighs. Nice loose stirring motion. And reverse it. And then give the knees a hug into the chest. Lengthen the lower back. Lengthen the back of the neck. Passively stretching the lower back right now because we're using the hands to pull the legs in. Now find your inner core muscles and pull your pubic bone to your belly button. Keep your back flat and your arms straight up towards the ceiling. Keep the knees together for the knee circles. So we're going to come out of this flat back position, roll over to one side. Keep the back ribs and the shoulder down on the opposite side. Circle around to an extreme arch position. Come over to the other side. Keep the opposite shoulder and ribs down. Then come back to the flat back position. And then reverse the circle. See how much supported range of motion you can get below the waist and stay stable above the waist. Keep those back ribs down, shoulders relaxed, reverse. Every time you're coming back into that tucked in flat back position, pausing there, and then circling the other way. Let's do one more each direction. And then bring the knees into the chest again. Relax the legs, lengthen the back of the neck. Take a little rock from side to side on the lower back. We're going to prepare to go into the 100, except we're going to do a flat back 100 today. So starting with the help of the back flattened by the hands, engage the inner core. Knit and imprint your ribs. Pull your pubic bone to your belly button. Bring your hands down to the floor and press the palms down. Try to get the backs of the arms to activate. Hold the pubic bone to the belly button. Flatten the back. Lift your head. Keep your back flat. And at first I want you to bring your legs farther up than you normally would for the 100. Get your back really far, flat, well pressed down. And then keep pressing the back down. You might want to lower your legs a little bit, but if you go too low, you're going to lose your flat back. So I want you to find a position where you've got your flat back, and then we'll pulse 5 times with exhale and 5 times with inhale. Keep your back flat, exhale for 5, and inhale. Even if that means legs almost straight up or knees bent. Exhale for 5, keep the back flat, and inhale. Exhale, and inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, flat back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more set. Exhale. And inhale. Bring your knees to your chest. Head down. Relax. Turn your head from side to side. And we're going to keep the back flat and lower one foot down, and then the other, and then relax into neutral for a moment. Okay, engage the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs and tilt the pelvis to a flat back, and then bring your right knee to your chest. Keep the back flat and straighten the left leg up. Pull your pubic bone to your belly button. Keep the back flat and extend the right leg up. So it's going to be a little different from what you're used to. Back is flat, and then circle the leg 5 times. Keep the back ribs down and the lower back pressing flat down to the mat. 5 times one way, stay flat and do 5 the other. Now keep the back flat and bring the right knee to the chest. Then we're going to do a spinal twist. Bring the knee over towards the floor on the left. Only as far as feels good for your back. You might stop, just with a little bit of stretch here. Depending on your back, you can go farther into the spinal twist or not. Adjust the shoulder and then breathe slowly. Once you're in the twist, you can relax the shoulder. On your exhale, press the belly to the spine. And then come to the back again. We're going to draw the right knee into the chest. Keep the lower back flat. Keep the back flat. Bend the left knee. Back is still flat. Lower the right foot down. And then relax into neutral. And engage the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Tilt the pelvis to flatten the back. Keep the back flat as you bring the left knee into the chest. And continue to flatten as you straighten the right leg out. And we're going to keep the back flat as you extend the left leg to the ceiling. Keep the back flat as we circle 5 times in each direction. Renew the flattening and reverse. And then bend the left knee and move the knee over towards the floor on the right. And again, you don't have to twist that far. You can just concentrate on stretching the hip if that's better for your back. On your exhales, draw the belly back towards the spine. Your inhales, relax the shoulder. And then to the back again. Left knee into the chest, back is flat. Keep the back flat as you bend the right knee. Keep the back flat. Lower the left foot down. And then relax into neutral. Now we're going to do a little variation of the roll up. And please, I might have you just pause in a certain position and not go farther and not do the whole thing. You'll do your abdominals more good if you don't force yourself up into the full roll up. So we're going to make sure the back stays flat the whole time and the feet stay down. And some of you might just be staying and breathing and possibly shaking in place. That's fine. So I'm going to begin with the hands behind the head, interlacing the fingers. Inhale, prepare for the inner core. With the exhale, find the pelvic floor, knit and imprint, and tilt the pelvis. So we've got our basic flat back position. And we're going to keep the back flat and straighten the right leg out. And then keep the back flat and bend it. And keep the back flat and straighten the left leg out and bend it. And then relax. So really be watching what you're doing with your spine. If you can't do the next one with your back staying flat, you're just going to extend one leg at a time. Engage the inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis to a flat back, straighten the right leg out, keep it straight, keep the back flat, and straighten the left leg out. And then keep it flat. Bring the left knee in and the right, and then relax. So if this is already a challenge, you're going to stay at this level. We're going to do the same thing starting with the left leg. Engage the inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis, keep the back flat and straighten the left leg out, and then the right, and then the left back in, and then the right. And relax to neutral. Okay, inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis, head lift. Feel your back ribs printing down, straighten the right leg, and the left. Now you might just be staying right here. If you can, without lifting your feet or doing anything pushy, bring yourself up into a seated position from there, then do. You're just going to roll up and roll back down, and then come to that position where you're hovering with the back ribs down, flattening the back, and release. Oh, sorry, keep your head up, bend the right knee, and the left, and lower your head down, and then relax. So if you can't make the smooth transition to the roll up, just stay and hover. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis, head lift. Straighten the left leg, keep the back flat and the right. And if you can roll smoothly up from there, do. If not, you're just going to stay and hover. If you're rolling up, just roll up, roll back down, bring the hands behind the head, join the people hovering, scoop the belly in, back, the lower back is flattened, back ribs flattening, bend the left knee, and then the right, and lower the head, and relax to neutral. I'm going to try it one more time with each leg. Engage the inner core, tilt the pelvis, knit and imprint the ribs, lift the head, right leg out, flat back, and left leg out. Roll up or hover. Roll back down, come back into the hover, or stay and maintain. Flat back as the right knee heel slides in, the left heel slides in, flat back, and release. Let everything relax. One more time. Inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis, lift the head. Left leg, then right leg straight, flat back, roll up or hover, roll back down, everybody hover, print the back ribs down, keep the back flat, left knee bends, right knee bends, keep the back flat, lower down, and then relax into neutral. You want to go a rolling pelvic lift. Nothing behind your head as you do this. Gauge the inner core. Tilt the pelvis. Knit and imprint. Press into the feet and lift the hips up. And roll back down. Scooping the belly in. Imprinting the back ribs. Tilting the pelvis until the very last moment. And then releasing. And again, inner core, knit and imprint, tilt the pelvis, scooping the belly in, lift your hips up. And lower down, back ribs imprinting, scoop the belly button into the spine, draw the pubic bone to the belly button, release. And only at the very end will we relax that pelvic tilt. One more time, inner core, knit and imprint the ribs, tilt the pelvis, Belly scooping in as you lift the hips to the ceiling. And roll down, tilting the pelvis, scooping the belly to the spine. And release. Okay, we're going to turn to the stomach. So in this position, if you have a spondylo, I would really like you to talk with me privately before you do any prone things, besides the first exercise we're going to do. If you have a stenosis, you're going to try to really keep your connection between your pubic bone and your belly button and minimize the bend in your back. Like right now what I'm doing would not be a good thing if you have a stenosis. Minimize the curve in the back and maximize the curve in the upper back. We're going to start with a hip extension that anybody can safely do. That's too much of a generality, but it's a good, safe exercise. I'm going to put your hands underneath your hips so that your hip point is directly into the center of your palm. You can either have your forehead or your cheek on the floor, or you can put a little towel under your forehead if that's better. We're going to leave the head down. So we're going to find the inner core, and in keeping with today's work, I'm going to draw the ribs together and also try tucking your tail between your legs. And then keep that sense of tucking the tail, and we're going to unweight the right leg. Not into a big tall lift, but unweight it just enough so that we feel the back of the leg, the buttocks working, but we keep an even weight across the front of the pelvis. And keep tucking the tail between the legs as you lower the right leg. And without letting your weight shift across the pelvis, let the left foot come up. And lower back down. So we're going to shift from side to side. Doesn't feel that dramatic, but you're going to have a lot of work in your belt, in your core muscles, the tilting of the pelvis. And what you're engaging here, the hip extensors, the buttock and the back of the thigh, these are generally, for people in our culture, weak. So this is a really helpful exercise. And lower down, keep the pelvis even. Try not to rock from side to side and unweight the left leg. So just a little bit of a lift and lower. And one more time, keep connecting your pubic bone to your belly button, pulling your tail between your legs. Unweight the right, and then the left, and then relax. So let's bring the hands underneath the forehead. If that provoked any tightness in your back, you can go into a child's pose. Ideally, you're not going to feel your lower back extensors working when you do that, because that's not an exercise for the lumbar, it's an exercise for the buttocks and the thighs. If you do feel tightness in the lower back, it means you probably were lifting too much and not stabilizing enough with your belt. Okay, we're going to keep the hands underneath the forehead. Engage the inner core. Please make sure you get that happening first. Pull your pubic bone to your belly button. Knit your ribs together and begin to feel your shoulders pull away from your ears. And then just lift the head off of the hands a tiny bit and feel your breastbone move forward. So, and like, especially if you have lower back issues, but in general, just to feel this, if you make this movement very small, you can get thoracic extension, working the muscles of the upper back, without tightening the muscles of the lower back, and then lower down and relax. You can also do this without tightening the muscles of the butt and the legs. So I'd like you to notice that this time. Engage the inner core. Feel your ribs glide together in the front. Tuck your tail between your legs, and lift the head just a little bit off your hands. Pull your shoulders down your back. Feel the work in the upper back. No compression in the lower back. No tightening in the buttocks and the back of the thighs. And then release and relax. Give into gravity. And do it like that one more time. Find the inner core, knit the ribs together, tuck your tail between your legs, and lift your chest up. Head raises just a little bit off of the hands. Feel your shoulders pull down your back. Belly button to spine, shoulders to the back pockets. And then relax. Okay, let's come up onto all fours. With your inhale, bring your chest forward. And then as you exhale, without allowing your neck and shoulders, shoulder girdle to move, I want you to bring your tail between your legs. Kind of an odd combination of activities. Then bend your elbows and tuck your chin down. Bring your hips back to your heels. Do you want to get the lower back to stretch, but not overstretch the upper back. And come back up onto all fours. Feel your neutral position, and then from there, pull your chest forward a little bit more. Notice to pull your chest forward, you don't have to collapse your lower back, so don't go into a collapsed lower back. Keep steady around the pelvis. Draw the breastbone away from the belly button. And then see if you can keep that and tuck your tail between your legs. Tuck your chin down, bend your elbows, and then move your hips to your heels. So we want to be stretching the lower back, not behind the upper ribs. And again, inhale, come up, feel your neutral, pull your chest forward, away from that neutral spine. Keep your breastbone pulled forward, re-engage your inner core, tilt your tail between your legs, drop your chin down, bend your elbows, and move your hips back to your heels. And this time stay there in the child's pose. Relax and put a couple breaths into the back. Now if you have a spinal condition, please do that same exercise again. Everyone else, we're going to come into the Sphinx position. Engage the inner core. Tilt your tail between your legs. So as you do that, you can notice that you're going from a kind of collapsed, compressed lower back to a lengthened lower back. And that is the support we want to maintain as we do the single leg kick. One knee at a time, you're going to bend and kick, kick, and kick, kick. Draw the shoulders down the back. Keep your tail tucked between your legs so the lower back feels supported. Kick, 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 and one more time. Kick, kick. And then again, let's go into the child's pose to stretch the back out. And then we're going to lift to all fours. We're going to do the knee hover and the plank. So find the neutral spine first. Engage around your neutral spine. Pull your ribs together, tuck your toes under. Press your hands into the floor like you're trying to push the floor away from you. Float your knees up a little bit. And then lower back down. Relax. So as we go into the plank, you can just stay into the knee hover if that's better for you. Engage the inner core, knit the ribs, press your hands into the floor and lift. If you feel any strain in your lower back, you can always tuck your tail. And then if you're feeling strong, straighten your legs out. And then return to the knee hover. You're not going to let your knees come down to the mat immediately. Hover, push the floor away. Then lower the knees. Lift the chest. If you need to stretch your back, go to child's pose. Engage your inner core, knit the ribs. If you're feeling strain in the lower back, you can try tucking your tail. Come up to the knee hover. Stay or straighten the legs. When you come out of the plank, return to the hover. Don't collapse. Then everybody knees down. Chest forward. Again, you can take a child's pose if your back is tired. One more time. Inner core, knit the ribs, and tuck the tail. Lift the knees, stay, or straighten the legs. Stay stable and breathe in whichever position you're in. Return to the knee hover. Keep the knees off the floor for a moment. Press the hands into the floor. Lower the knees. And then move your hips back to your heels. And relax. Okay, I'm going to move on to the back and do the abdominal series with a flat back. We will get to some clamshells and side kicks. Okay, on your back in neutral. So we're going to try the whole abdominal series with the back flat. Gauge the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Tilt the pelvis. Keep the back flat as you lift the right foot and then the left. Keep the back flat as you lift your head. Both hands to one leg and keep the back flat as you straighten one leg and then switch. Back flat the whole time. Keep pressing the belly button down to the spine. So one advantage of the flat back is you get really clear feedback. If you're having trouble keeping the back flat, you can try your feet a little bit higher. And then we're going to bring both knees to the chest, keeping the back flat, the back ribs imprinted. Stretch out into the double leg stretch and come back in. Again here, if you need to kick your legs a little bit higher than you normally do, go ahead and do that. Keep the back flat. Make sure you're still concentrating on your back ribs imprinting like you usually do. Chin into the chest, flat back, stretch out away from center, and back in one more time. And then we're going to lower down, hug the knees for a moment. And keep the back flat, lower the right foot, keep it flat, lower the left, and relax completely. And then reset the inner core, knit and imprint the ribs, tilt the pelvis, keep the back flat and lift your left foot first, and then your right. Keep the back flat as you lift your head, stretch one leg straight up and the other straight down. Single straight leg with a flat back. And then keep the back flat as both legs come up. Press your belly button into your spine, hands behind the head. Lower down, but do not let your back arch away from the mat. And lift back up. Concentrate on the back ribs imprinting and your belly scooping into your spine, your lower back staying flat. You might not be able to lower down too far. Extending the hips, naturally the back wants to extend with it, but we're just separating out those two actions. One more time. And then bring your head to the floor, hands to the knees. Just relax a moment there. And we're going to do the crisscross also with a flat back. So keep the knees in close to the chest as you bring your hands behind your head. Gauge the inner core. Knit and imprint the ribs. Tilt the pelvis. Lift your head. Keep your back flat. And start your bicycle. If you're having trouble keeping the back flat while you bicycle, just keep your knees bent and do the upper body only. Pelvis must be still, lower back flat. And then bring your head down, knees into the chest, rock side to side. Keeping the back flat, stabilize and lower the left foot down. And keep the back flat as you bring the right foot down. And relax into neutral. We're going to do a neutral spine pelvic lift. And keeping your lower back in its neutral curve, engage the inner core. Knit and imprint, keep neutral this time and hinge into a pelvic lift. We're not curling through the spine. Spine in its neutral position, hinge at the hips and come back down. And again, press up in neutral. And hinge back down. One more time, neutral. And back down. And relax. Okay, let's turn to the left side. I'm going to start with the knees bent at 90 degrees. Feet and knees at the front of your mat. Neck and shoulders comfortable. Resting your left ear on your left arm or on a blanket here. Bring your hands onto your hip point. Your right hand onto your hip point. Engage your inner core. Find the pelvic floor. Find your belt around the hips. And we'll do 5 lifts in the 90-degree position. And then open out to 45 degrees. Move your feet underneath you. Again, find your inner core. And 5 external rotations in the 45-degree position. And then finally open out to 0-degree hip flexion. Engage your inner core. Take an organ lift. And 5 external rotations here. And then both legs all the way out straight. Top hand on the top hip. Relax your neck and shoulders. Engage the inner core. Take an organ lift. Feel this engagement around your hips. If you can do it without creating tension in the neck, lift your feet up with your hands on your hip. Otherwise, fingertips on the mat. Top leg up and down, and bottom leg down and up. Top up and down, bottom down and up. Lift and lower, lower and lift. 2 more times in each direction. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Stabilize around the pelvis and the ribs. Scissor the legs 5 times forward and back. Squeeze the inner thighs. Flex the feet and squeeze the toes. Point the toes, fan them out, and flex. Squeeze, point, fan, flex, squeeze, point, fan, flex, and then reach out with the toes open, squeeze and pull back. Open, reach, squeeze, pull back. One more time. Squeeze, and bring both legs down. Re-engage inner core and organ lift. Lift the top leg just at hip socket height. Roll in at your thigh, and then reach the toes down just slightly behind the left heel. Lift up, roll out at the hip socket, and lower the heel down to the front. Roll in, point the toes, and reach the toes towards the back. Lift, roll out, flex your foot and reach your heel to the front. Just one more time. Roll in, point, reach back, lift, flex, roll out, heel to the front, up into the center, and then lower that leg down. Go to the other side. Starting with the knees bent at 90 degrees. Engage your inner core and roll the left thigh out in the socket 5 times. Stable pelvis. And relax and open out to 45-degree flexion, moving the knees down a little bit, your feet underneath you. Reset the inner core and roll the left leg out in the socket 5 times. Relax and open out to 0-degree flexion. Engage the inner core, take your organ lift, and 5 rotations in this position. And then both legs straight, top hands on the top waist, engage the inner core, organ lift, keep the hands here or fingertips on the mat as you lift both legs up, top leg up and down, bottom leg down and up, lift and lower, lower and lift, top up and down, bottom down and up, 2 more in each direction. Squeeze the inner thighs and 5 scissors. And then come to the center, engage the inner thighs, flex the feet back and squeeze the toes, point, fan, and flex. Squeeze, point, fan, flex, squeeze, point, fan, flex, toes open, reach out through the balls of the feet, squeeze the toes, pull back, open, reach, grab, and come back, open, reach, grab, and come back, and release. Reset the inner core. Take the top leg up to hip socket height. Roll the leg in at the top of the leg and point your toe. Reach the toe towards the back. Come up, external rotation and reach your heel to the front. Point, roll in and reach back. And flex, roll out, heel front. One more time. And release. And then turn onto your back, knees bent. Engage the inner core. Knit and imprint your ribs. Tilt the pelvis to flatten the back. Lift your right foot up, keep your back flat, and bring the right ankle to the left knee. Back flat, left foot lifts. Keep your back flat, left foot to the ceiling, and bend the knee. Back flat, stretch up, and bend, and up, and bend. And keep the back flat, relax the belly. Let's stretch here for 30 seconds. Stretching the right hip. Working with the back flat. Staying even at the back of the pelvis. Careful you don't cheat over to the right side. And then with the back flat, bring the left foot down and the right foot down. Relax into neutral for a moment. And then reconnect. Inner core, ribs knit and imprint. Tilt the pelvis. Keep the back flat as the left foot comes up and over to the right knee. Keep the back flat as you lift the right foot. And keep it flat as you extend your right foot to the ceiling. And bend the knee. And back flat. Stretch up with the right leg. And bend. Once more, stretch up and bend and keep the back flat, relax. And just slow breath, breathing into the stretch of the left hip. And then keep the back flat. Lower the right foot down. And keep it flat while you bring the left foot down. Then relax into neutral. And we'll finish this by bringing the knees into the chest, letting the lower back passively flatten to the floor. And one foot at a time back down, relax into neutral. And that's where we're going to stop. So I hope that clarifies why we sometimes use flat and sometimes neutral. It's great to have both at our disposal. And if you need to use flat back, of course, you can use that all the time. But otherwise, it's just another way to access these things. And also, do keep in mind, it's a way, if your back's ever bothering you, it's a good way to be safe. All right, so it looks like we're going to be shoveling some snow or going snowshoeing. So use your core, take good care, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.